Amazing, right? We have such a level of talent in each one of you. Wow. Parallel to this, I want to take an opportunity for all of you to please join me in congratulating the winners and also all the participants of the recent Neil and Dolly Routa instrumental music competition. So to everyone, particularly our first prize winner, Andreika Kimbo, second prize winner, Ivan Kosturny, and also third prize winner, Aiden Butler. So please let's hear it for them and for all the participants. Thank you. Usually Dr. Smaker would be here, but unfortunately he could not be with us, so I have taken his place to introduce our guest this afternoon. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Margaret McGillivray, an accomplished artist and educator whose career spans performances with orchestras across Canada, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, including engagements with the National Baltimore, Richmond, Phoenix, and Tucson symphonies. In addition to her distinguished career, orchestral and recital career, marked by significant premieres of works, Dr. McGillivray holds a Doctor of Musical Arts degree from the University of Arizona, where her research, the singing horn player, explored the connection between vocal technique and horn performance, an approach that continues to inform her mission, her research, her practice. We're grateful to have her with us this afternoon, this week, in collaboration with our horn studio. So today she will speak with you about professional development, particularly freelancing, and also the realities and how to navigate commissioning new works. So please join me in welcoming with a warm round of applause, Dr. Margaret McGillivray.
I got my notes here. Hang on just a second. So thank you so much for that kind introduction. I had no idea I was going to be talking to all of you. I thought it was going to be me and like 10 people in a room, maybe some stale donuts. But here we are. So I've titled this talk Thoughts on Freelancing, and the subtitle of that is Portfolio Careers in Music. So I have a couple of questions because I want to know who I'm talking to before I get into this. How many of you are vocalists? Cool. How many of you are instrumentalists? Of those instrumentalists, pianists? Hi, friends. Did you notice that I didn't put my hand down? Oh. It's not bragging, but we'll get into that and why that might be important for other things. Anyway, I hail from the great country of Canada, where things are a little bit different, a little colder. But I have been in the US now since 2010. I received my undergraduate degree at McGill University in Montreal. If you've ever been up there, you will want to go back. It's fantastic. And then I did my graduate work at Northwestern University and took off a bunch of time in between, went and did some stuff, lived in Europe, played around. Then I went to the University of Arizona, did my DMA. I had 2 little kids at the time, so I feel like I did 2 DMAs, but that's maybe not. They don't give you 2 for some reason. So I've done this in a few different places. I've done this in a few different ways, depending on what my life looked like. And my life looked like very, very different each time, because now I live just outside of Baltimore. My husband got a job with the U.S. Army Field Band, so I had to make my way and do it again. So I think basically 4 times, 5 times over the course of my life, and that sounds, oh, well, it's not so bad, except it takes you a good 5 to 8 years to develop the connections the way you want to be on the position where you can start offering work to other people, to have your projects going. It just takes some time. And I, unfortunately, never really did it in the cities that I'd gone to school in, like a little bit, but we'll see. So, why are we here? Who has ever played for money, not just cookies, at a house of worship or sung? Who has ever played for some kind of compensation at a retirement assisted living community, for a town fair, for you name it, right? So that means that pretty much everybody in this room has already freelanced or will freelance. And if you haven't done it yet, don't worry, it'll happen to you. Teaching and freelancing have been inextricably linked in my career, but that's not necessarily the case for everybody. Not everybody teaches, and not all teachers freelance. It's just been very, very much a part of my everything. And some of that has to do with my mission and just where I come from and what's important to me. I will say, finding your why is super important if you're going to freelance, if you're going to actually pursue freelancing as a part of your degree. So finding your why, it sounds really stupid and really hokey and new age, but if you don't know why you play music, it gets really hard to practice. It gets really hard to put in the time and the work that it takes to keep yourself at the level where you can freelance, where you can be that person that they call last minute to come and play Heldenleben with the Baltimore Symphony because you're ready. And I will also say that being incredibly flexible is key. Freelancing is not for people, if you're an Enneagram person, freelancing is I shouldn't say it's not for. It's very hard on people who are ones. It's very hard on people who want to know all the plans and all the orders and when everything's going to happen. It's really hard. It's hard on everybody. But if you're really somebody that needs to know day in and day out what you need to do to survive, to be in your body, in yourself, in feeling good, freelancing is really hard. That sounds like a doom and gloom. It's not. Why do I freelance? I freelance because I love to play music. I love to sing music. I love to make music. I love to support musicians. And I love variety, and that's something I definitely get as a freelancer. My freelancing week will look something like, and I really do think of it more in like terms of buckets of things that I do, but my freelancing week will look something like on Monday is sort of my recovery day, and I practice and I put my face back together and I get all the other stuff done that has not gotten done properly for the week. And then Tuesday through Thursday, I teach. I have 12 horn students right now in my studio. I used to have a lot more. I've gotten a lot more selective, which is a great thing about being kind of old and cranky. And I have 4 piano students. And on Wednesday nights, I run a handbell choir, which I never thought I would do. Thursday nights, I have what friends of mine have referred to as the Ferrari of church choirs. I have an all-volunteer church choir. There's 25 of them. They all read music, and they sing in tune. I know, whoa. Friday nights, Saturday nights are pretty much, I'm playing wherever I need to play. I'm going wherever I need to go. I drive a fair amount, but then sometimes I don't. Sometimes the gig's just down the road. I live about 25 minutes outside of Baltimore, 45 minutes to 5 days outside of DC, depending on the traffic. So I kind of go around and do that. So that tends to be Friday nights, Saturday nights. Sunday mornings, I have a church job. I also play piano, and I also play organ. Organ is new. Don't get excited. It's not great. It's not great yet. Organ is new. So during the course of that week, I've used horn playing, I've used teaching, I've used conducting, I've used vocal technique, I've used piano technique, I've used organ technique, and then I've also done project management because managing these people is a full-time job by itself. Oh Lord, it's like herding cats. So the interpersonal stuff is actually what I'm going to start with, and it is the most important part of freelancing, and that is relationships. If you don't have relationships in freelancing, it's really, really hard to get started. And I've been in a couple of different venues and places in the world, so relationships. If you go to school with the people and you start freelancing in the town where you went to school, you were kind of set up. It's really nice. I just never done that because of circumstances. So you need to establish relationships, and you need to do it in a fully authentic way. So walking up to the principal of your local orchestra or going and saying to the local band teacher, I need students, or I want to play with your orchestra, is not the thing. Not the thing. I wonder why. Well, it's not the thing because it's not about what they can do for you, it's about what you can do for them. And also, it needs to be approached in a spirit of collegiality. So you want to go and talk to the principal of the orchestra because you want to work with them. Cool. Why don't you take a lesson? Or why don't you go in and say, hey, I'm new to town, I'm getting to know people. Could we go and play duets? And you can just give me some advice and whatnot. So you're not actually asking them for anything other than time, and be prepared to compensate them for it. That was a tough thing. In Europe, they don't do this, they give free lessons. So here, you gotta remember you might have to pay a little bit of money. But making it so that you are creating a connection with this person or people and doing it in a real and authentic way. For the band directors, you can't just say, well, I want students. Give me your students, give me your best students. I only want the good ones, I only want the ones that'll practice. Not gonna work. They actually really want the kids that don't practice to come and have lessons. But maybe saying, hey, I'm new to town. I'd love to come and work with your horn students. I'd love to come and work with your flutists. When would be a good time? What works for you? What are you needing? Are you working on something? And be very prepared for them to not get back to you. They're busy. They've got hundreds of kids. They've got hundreds of report cards to fill out. They've got assessments and master classes and all kinds of stuff. So when you can make yourself useful, adding that little extra thing in your email, you know, I've had a lot of experience with marching band. I really understand drumline because of my experience with XYZ. So finding ways that you can be helpful and you can be a community maker are super, super important. Do not discount your friends. Your friends are going to be doing all these things. How many people here are in music education? Woo! Yeah. So if you're not a music education major, that's totally fine, but like, take stock of your friends that are going into music ed. Maybe you guys can like collaborate on stuff. And that's the big word in freelancing, is collaborate these days. It's a lovely buzzword. So it really comes down to, who do you know? Who do you need to know? And how can you know them in a way that is fully you, fully authentic, and fully yourself? So just a couple thoughts there. Any questions on what I've talked about so far? I don't mind this being a little bit more informal. I'm not used to talking with just like preaching at you. Okay. If you think of something, it's okay. Stick up your hand. All right. Oh, we have a question.
Hi, you were talking about the wire thing. I don't know, sometimes the kids have a really deep wire or whatever, but it's like, sometimes I don't know how to answer the questions. I'm like, I just think it's fun, but I don't know if like, I don't know, sometimes it doesn't feel like enough.
You don't know if that's good enough. It's good enough. I think we all, this is sort of an aside, I think all of us and your faculty members can probably talk to this as well. I think at some point we've all struggled with this. Are my reasons good enough to do this? I just like it. That's not a bad reason. And it may be that that's where you start and then you find other things. And it branches out from there. But I don't think it's a bad reason. And I don't think also we should be ashamed of our reasons. Just my little, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. Oh no, I'm gonna crawl right back on. Okay. So you need a few skills as a portfolio musician. You need to be up on your instrument, whatever that is. If that's your voice, if that's wind instrument, brass instrument, keyboard instrument, percussion, you need to have all the things. So everything that I'm saying about relationship is great, but if you're not playing well, you better go practice. So you definitely want your instrument. In my case, I have a series of auxiliary instruments. I paid my rent in undergrad by singing in a professional church choir. I know that's not normal. I get it. But if you understood, my whole family is singers, so I'm actually the black sheep of the family. Yeah. So it was sort of like, oh, I can do this. This is easy. And my mom was happy because I was in church on Sunday, so it all made everybody happy. But if you have any auxiliary instruments or auxiliary skills, super duper important. So who in here has a second instrument of sorts, whether that's singing, piano, whatever? Who here has a second instrument? Okay, who has like tech skills? Okay. Oh, I like that hand, that was good. Oh, and I like this one too, because that's honest. Tech skills, I never thought I would need them, but you know what happened about, I don't know, 6 years ago? The pandemic hit. Guess who had to become a sound engineer because I was putting out a virtual choir every week? Yeah, so I learned how to use Logic Pro, I learned how to use Audacity, I learned how to do all of that, and you might find that's just fascinating and you want to go off into a tear into sound recording or sound producing. You never know where these little side trips are going to go, or sorry, side quests for my gaming friends. Tech skills are really, really valuable. Do not discount it. I wish I had more. Who here, like, I know there's some people doing multiple degree paths, but who here is in some sort of finance, accounting, business? Good, good. Those are really important skills. You need to be your own bookkeeper as a portfolio musician. As a private teacher, you have to keep track of all of that. You have to do your taxes. You have to know what breaks you can get on your taxes and what is completely illegal. And yes, TurboTax will do a lot of it for you, but it won't do everything because it doesn't actually understand the freelance mindset or the freelance ease of what you're doing with your money. Who here is on social media? Yeah, this is something that nobody taught me how to do because this wasn't a thing when I was going to school because I'm old and cranky, remember? Social media is huge, and yet you have to show up as yourself fully and authentically and blah, 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 and then not share too much, and there's privacy concerns, and it's a whole thing. But if you are well versed in it, which most of you are far better versed in it than I am, it's really important to your career, and even with teaching, yes. Parents want to know that their kids are doing stuff, and you might be like, I'm all about process, but they want to know that their kids are doing stuff, and so little postings, little things, it doesn't have to be huge, but social media is actually a huge part of your career right now, and I'm sorry if you don't like it. I don't particularly like it, but I think you're much more fluent in it, so you're probably in much better shape. Marketing yourself is also huge. It sucks. Feels like you're selling yourself. You kind of are. But marketing yourself is huge. I'm not good at it. I'm just not good at it. I was raised in a country that really is, the culture is not that at all. We just don't do it. We look down on it. We're like, no. So I have had to learn all this stuff as adults. And as an adult, it's not fun. It's way funner when you're doing it here and you don't have like the actual consequences yet. And then the next big thing about portfolio careers is wherever you work, whoever you work with, parents, contractors, whatever it is, follow up. So that email to the band director that you send, I don't know if you're sending it, if you're actually a band instrument or not, but say you're sending a band instrument thing and I want to help out your clarinets. I realize marching band season is coming up. What can I do? I would love to be of use. They don't get back to you. And they probably won't, right? Because they're busy. You need to follow up and not feel stupid about it. Not be like, oh, well, they didn't get back to me. They will. But you might have to bug them a little. So how do you bug them politely? Hey, just putting this up at the top of your inbox. I know you're busy. Being absolutely led with empathy and compassion because they might be overwhelmed and in over their heads. And again, you're trying to be helpful, not a burden. But you still don't want to get lost in the mix of things. Or when you go and do a gig and you're playing, say, at the Cuban consulate, you send follow-up emails after that gig and you say, hey, thanks so much to the contractor. Thanks so much for hiring me. It was so lovely of you to think of me. Heck, send one to the consulate. Say, thanks so much for having me. It was so wonderful to partake of your event. Following up is a lost art. Nobody does it anymore, so when you do it, you stand out. P.S. Do it with your profs. Oh, I said that out loud. No. But seriously, do it with your profs. If you go and see your prof during office hours, a quick thank you email, that kid actually noticed that I put in some effort. It's powerful. Never, never underestimate the power of these little teeny tiny things. They actually get you someplace where you might not necessarily get to otherwise. Okay, mini break, stand up. Little dance break. Move those hips. Roll your shoulders. Wave them like you just don't care, and sit down. So next up, I wanted just to quickly, I don't know what my time is like. I guess I could look. Oh, I got time. Next up is your target market. We don't talk about this in music. We're like, well, I have to learn all of my scales 4 octaves at 16th note equals 120. I have to do it by such and such a day. We're good with those sorts of targets, goal setting. But know where you are. And there's a couple of different things about this. In your relationship building, know where you are. Be socially aware. If the person that you would like to talk to is speaking to one person that looks really intense, please don't go up and talk to them. Don't bust in on that convo. You don't want that. But on a more professional level, you need to know who the contractors are in your area. You need to know who the people are who are doing the hiring. And it is okay. You get to a new place and say, hey, I'm new here. I've heard that you do some hiring for local organizations. I would love to come and play for you. Contractors are a bit different than going for band directors or like principals in orchestras. It's just a little different because that's literally their job, is to hire out for stuff like that. You need to know, this is going to sound a little crass and a little bit cynical. If you're wanting to teach, you need to know the market for the parents in your area. What are people charging for lessons? Are there a lot of kids playing the instrument that I want to offer lessons on? What's important to the parents in this area? I live in Howard County, Maryland. It is the 6th wealthiest county in the country. I didn't know that when I moved there. Oops. Parents on the regular are pushing to have their children go to Ivy League schools. So they're resume building. They're doing all of those things that you saw in the Gilmore Girls. It's kind of insane, actually. So I have to know that about my kids, and I have to know that they might be brilliant. They might be brilliant horn players. They might still end up, like I had a phenomenal student a couple years ago. He ended up at electrical engineering at Duke. Not bad. He could have gone to Juilliard. I mean, that's okay. But really lovely kid, lovely family, but they had that in the back of their heads, that this kid is gonna go to a big fancy school and he's gonna do fancy things, and he still wants to play. He's playing in the school orchestra, he's playing in their pep band, he's doing really well. He made the right choice for him. So know your market, know where your people are wanting to go, what they're wanting to do, what's important to them, how you can partner with them. Again, it comes down to empathy, it comes down to compassion, even if it's a totally different world than yours. Totally different. I grew up in York Region, which is just north of Toronto, and this was not the culture there. And not that it was a fairly high-powered place. A lot of people had parents who worked in Toronto in high-powered jobs. It was a fairly wealthy place, but it was not like the place I'm living in. Sending kids to Ivy League schools was not an important thing. Resume building was not an important thing. Pushing kids from a very young age and front-loading their experience of content was not an important thing. So it's just a very different, I feel it's like it's a more hothouse culture, too. So I've had to culturally adapt to where I live. Target market. Oh, yeah, know how many there are of you. If you move a place or if you're here and there's already 25 piano teachers, that's a little tricky. Then you have to start thinking about, well, what makes me unique? Do I teach Suzuki? Do I use a particular method? Do I offer Royal Conservatory or ABRSM? what makes me different from everybody else. And if you haven't figured that out, you might want to take just a beat and think about everything else. Where I live, and this is for freelancing and teaching, there's a lot of really fine horn players. There are all the people in the BSO and the NSO. There are all of the special military bands, and they're just as good. And then there's just like freelancers in that mix. So it's a very saturated market. That means that it's musically pretty good when we go out to gigs, like people can generally really play well, which is really lovely, but it also means that it can be pretty cutthroat. Do you want that? Do you want to be in some places a little more chill? It's up to you. Questions you need to ask. So you're also looking for community needs. If you have any interest in doing residencies at assisted living facilities, museums, educational facilities, there is a huge market for that. If you can figure out something cool, somebody will want to have you come and do it. There's a lot of interesting things that can happen that are maybe not so traditional. And I really encourage you to just let your brain be open. This is the time to just open your brain and make a big old vision board of like whatever you want and see how those things that are in your head match up with the needs of the community. Lastly, and I was slow to come to this, and I think it's because of my training. I was very much trained as an orchestral horn player. I was out there, I was doing auditions, winning auditions, taking jobs, and I was so focused on this one particular goal that I started to lose my why, actually. If you've ever prepped for a professional audition, you don't come out of that loving those pieces at the end of it. It's intense. It's very intense. And I was doing so much of it that I was like, I don't think I want to play anymore. I don't think I want to do this anymore. And so I had to really kind of back up and be like, well, why do I want to do this? And I love making music because I love making music with people. I don't actually love practicing by myself that much. I do like it. Don't worry, teachers, I do like it. But I really need to have that social reinforcement of being around people and being like, oh, it's so lovely to play with somebody. It's lovely to join their line and to then make my own out of it. It's lovely to fit in the chord and really have it lock in and be in tune. It is magical. There's something magical about making music with people. And I discovered that I actually didn't have to win an audition to do that. And I also discovered in some of the jobs that I've been in that I did not need to be in a full-time position to do that, and some of those people were pretty miserable. So this is the other reason for doing a portfolio career, is that you can, once you get to a point, you can pick and choose. And that was really, really important to me, and it helped me find my why again, because I did lose it. And lately, it's been personal projects that have been my funnest thing to do. So this can be anything from chamber music, residencies, like kind of like a mini residency, like what I'm doing here. If you are really interested in some wacky part of your instrument or your field and doing some research and really developing it. If you are an advocacy for some underrepresented group of composers, of musicians, of students, there's so much room for you to contribute. And not to toot my own horn or anything, the pun, sorry, it was really bad. It's really bad. My new fun thing is commissioning. I have figured out, and I feel so proud of it, it's like a 5-year-old, like I figured out how to write my own name. I have figured out how to shake money out of grant organizations so that they will pay for music that I want to play. Huh? So this is all culminated for me in a project called Lift, Solos for Horn by Black Composers. And I had the idea to do this a bunch of years ago, but then I kind of sat on it, and then the pandemic happened. And it's not that I had time on my hands. My studio was full. I was teaching online at Towson and Duke Ellington School of the Arts in DC. I had no time. I just was like, I have to do something. So Lift is a collection of 12 living Black composers and 6 pieces by historical Black composers that have been transcribed for horn. Most of those pieces are actually vocal pieces, with a couple of exceptions. And it was really important to me to provide something for my students who were asking for pieces by people who looked like them. And I will say one of the other interesting things about living in Howard County is that most of my students are not white. Most of my students don't look like me. Cool. But most of the music that we play was by dead white people, and that's been the canon forever and ever and ever. But it was not acceptable to me in that time and place, and so I did something about it, and I figured out how to write grants, and I figured out how to write fundraising proposals, and I figured out how to do crowdfunding, and it was actually, dare I say it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. I got to bend my brain in ways that I had never bent it before, that I had been too shy to try, or just never thought that I could. Never thought that I could. And you know, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I have a pile of degrees, I have a pile of life experience. I can run a GoFundMe, right? Well, I did. So finding your personal project, this also helps with the why. I really am passionate about my students, about them finding a meaningful education, not just technique, not just, are they getting into All-State? Oh, look at me, I have X number of students in All-State. It's not about that for me, it really isn't. It's about having them find their why, having them find their voice, and having them find their representation somewhere and find their passion in there. And it may not be what I do, and that's okay. Totally fine. But maybe it's what one of them does. I'm gonna wrap this up. We'll take some questions, but I just wanted to tell you a quick story about Lift. So at the time I was teaching at Duke Ellington School of the Arts, we had just had the premiere at the end of February, 2 years ago, actually, 3 years ago. And I have this wonderful student, and his name is Zay, and he's like 6'4", and just built like a linebacker. And he was one of my just sunshine students. You walk in the room and the whole room just lights up because Zay is in the room. He's got a smile like this big because he's also like that tall. And he's like, Dr. M, Dr. M. I was like, what? What's going on? Because he was extra specially bouncy and happy. And he said, you gotta look at this, you gotta look at this. Okay, so cool. And he brings me his laptop, and on his laptop is a horn quartet. It was jazzy, it was like a jazz waltz. I was like, oh. And so I'm thinking through it in my head, and I play it through with the MuseScore plaython, which sounds terrible, but I just sort of like audiated it in my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Like, he's using all kinds of cool jazz chords, and it was rhythmically interesting. There was enough repetition in there to kind of keep your ears going through the thread of the piece, and it was like definitely written for high school students. So he knew what his audience, like their abilities, the range, he had it all down. And I was like, Zay, this is awesome. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, we should play it. Let's go play it. So we did. We sat down and we played as much of it as he had finished. And he just looked at me, he's like, I never would have thought this is possible. I was like, what do you mean not possible? I was like, you're super smart. You play piano. You've been writing music for a while. He's like, no. He's like, people like me and don't write for the horn. And he's like, I didn't think it would have, what did he say? Sorry. I didn't think it was possible until I saw those composers come for the premiere last month. And then I knew it was possible. And the cool thing about Zay is that he's now he's at Cal Arts studying composition. That's pretty good. Love that kid. Does anybody have any questions? I've tossed a lot of information at you, right? Go. But does anybody have any questions?
Hi, so you're talking about skills that you use for freelancing. What would you say is a skill that you see common in other freelancers that you think is actually not very helpful? Is that it?
Honestly, it's almost always poor relationship skills. Yes. There's so many people in the DC area that can play, and play really well. Like, we're all pretty replaceable, but it's the people that come in and shoot their mouth off, or the people that come in and think they know everything, or the people that come in and just hide. And I understand sometimes you're not having a great week and you don't want to, you just need some alone time. I get that too. I don't understand when you don't read the room and notice that certain things are happening and not be at least respectful of it. So I would honestly say relationship building and relationship skills, interpersonal skills, that is the biggest thing that I think makes a difference and also can be everybody's Achilles heel. The people that I know that I love to work with are not just my friends, they're good people. So it's really, like, this is, if it all boils down to one thing, it's like, just don't be a jerk, right? Just don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk now because your friends are going to be your colleagues, and don't be a jerk when you're out in the professional world because we remember. We remember. I'm seeing, yeah. I will tell you a quick story. I will not tell you names. I had just gotten my church job, and I needed a sub for something, and I had tried a few people, and then I put something out on Facebook. There's like a local group of like organists and collaborative pianists, and you can put stuff up there if you need. And it wasn't like a big service, it was just small. And I got an email from somebody who had previously subbed there with the previous music director, basically berating me for going on Facebook and asking for a sub and who was available, and that I couldn't possibly know what the quality of the people were that were coming in, and that I should just call her because it was just easier, and that I should just basically do what she told me. How many times do you think I've called her in 4 years? And I'm sure she's a great organist. I know it. But also, it's not how you introduce yourself to anybody. So if that's a cautionary tale, you take something from that, please don't do that. Don't do that. Just don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. Any other questions? Yeah. So I actually struggle with this. I have social media, I have a love-hate relationship with it. The balance that I've found for myself, and it changes incrementally every day, is that I focus mostly on my professional stuff, but I try and make it personal. Without crossing any of my personal boundaries. So I have 3 children, 17, 15, and 12, and I very rarely post them. I don't think it's fair. They've asked me generally not to. I ask them whenever I do post them, are you okay with this? And I tell them why. I don't be like, are you okay with this? No, I'm going to post, it's your birthday, or I'm going to post because we did this thing and it was cool, and et cetera, et cetera. I always ask them. So, but like, that's a personal boundary. Everybody draws that a little bit differently. I prefer it when people share just enough that I feel like they're a real human. Because otherwise it just feels produced. And I don't know about you, but with all of this AI stuff, I'm really looking, authenticity is like my big thing right now. I really want to know that it's real. And I want to know that they're real and that you're real. Because I want to have a real conversation with you and look you in the eye and know that you're a real person. Yeah, you. But look you in the eye and know that you are seen, you are seeing me, and that we're in this together. That's what we're losing. And I try and do as much as I can to foster that in my own life and everything. Anybody else? Hi. Okay, the question was about compensation. So I'm not shy anymore about saying, is this a paying gig? And when my kids were really little and I had to pay a babysitter, I was not shy. because there was no way I was going to go out and I was going to play and not be able to pay my babysitter. I don't care how kind I was feeling that day, but I needed to be able to pay a babysitter and preferably buy myself lunch afterwards. So there's no shame in saying, is this a paying gig, or is this, or just, that's it, that's the full sentence. Is this a paying gig? It's not. Okay, then you have to decide, is it worth it to you to take the gig? Because you know people will be there, or it's just a great experience, or it's music that you love. There are many reasons beyond money to take a gig. And then once you've established that it is a paying gig, it's perfectly fine to say, how much? And are there any other things I need to know? Like, do I have to pay for parking? Do I have to pay gas? Is it 5 hours away? Are you gonna pay for my accommodations? Or like, what does that all cover? And if it is not enough, you can say, it's not really enough. Like, if you have to drive 5 hours to a gig and it pays $60 and you don't get gas money, you might want to be like, I can't do it for that. Is there any way you can increase the compensation? You can be polite, you can be respectful, you can even explain why, although you don't have to. It really has to be very, very simple. And you do not have to get into a big, like, I just can't possibly work for anything under $20 an hour because that's a boundary I set for myself. No, they don't care. They don't care about your feelings necessarily. But you can say, listen, it's 5 hours and $60. I don't know that I can justify going down to, I don't know what is 5 hours away from here because I'm not from here. But I can't justify driving down there for that much money. Can you increase the compensation so it makes sense? I think that's perfectly reasonable. And I think it's perfectly reasonable even as a young person. I wish I'd stood up for myself a little bit more when I was younger.
Before we conclude the hour, I want to mention something that I found vital. Dr. McGillivray said, it's not what other people can do for you, it's what you can do for other people. Building a network that is genuine. A genuine network is very important in our field, but I want to share one more thing. That network starts right here, right? Not only with the outside world, not when you graduate, but now. How? Right? Support each other. When somebody's here performing, pay full attention. If somebody's in the classroom and you know they're struggling, offer help. If somebody messes up on a rehearsal, go be and show empathy. If somebody's in the cafeteria sitting by themselves, go join them. Build that network among each other. Take care of each other and respect each other at all levels. That network building starts right here. And that is one of the things that defines our school. So Dr. McGillivray, thank you very much, and please join us back in the future. Don't miss our concert.